despite its complexities and challenges, remains the best form of governance, fostering economic growth, social justice, and human development.
Outside Nigeria, U.S. President Joe Biden has said he will respect the jury's decision to find his son guilty of gun crimes after a week-long trial that laid bare a tumultuous time for the family. The 12-person jury found Hunter Biden guilty of lying about his drug use on a farm while purchasing a handgun in 2018. He faces possible jail time following the verdict, which marked the first criminal prosecution of a sitting president's child.
His conviction in all 3 felony counts comes as President Biden campaigns for re-election in November, and less than 2 weeks after his election rival Donald Trump was himself convicted of a crime in New York. While President Biden did not attend the trial in Delaware, many family members, including First Lady Jill Biden, did so regularly. Hunter Biden's wife, sister, and uncle were all present at times to support him during proceedings. President Biden flew to Wilmington, Delaware after the verdict, where he greeted and hugged his son on the tarmac. President Biden earlier ruled out pardoning his son, whose trial aired embarrassing details as prosecutors sought to show he was using crack cocaine at the time he bought the gun. Jurors heard from his ex-wife and a former girlfriend who described frequent drug binges that took a toll on his friends and family. Text messages detailing his addiction and photographs, some showing a half-naked Hunter Biden, were also shown to the court. Prosecutors alleged the president's son lied about his drug use on a Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosive form when he bought a revolver, speed loader and ammunition on October 12, 2018 from StarQuest Shooters and Survival Supply, a gun store in Wilmington.
This case was about the illegal choices defendant made while in the throes of addiction, his choice to lie on a government form when he bought a gun, and the choice to then possess that gun. It was these choices and the combination of guns and drugs that made his conduct dangerous. Second, no one in this country is above the law. Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant. However, Hunter Biden should be no more accountable than any other citizen convicted of this same conduct.
The verdict on Tuesday prompted instant political reaction, including from Republicans in Congress who have spent years investigating Hunter Biden's behavior and business ties.
Joining me now is President Emeritus Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen Hayes. Mr. Hayes, thank you for joining us on The World Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
So it's the first time a son of a sitting U.S. president has been convicted in federal court. How significant is this, and how much impact is it having on the Biden administration?
Well, I think the impact will be more personal on the president. I think politically, this may sound ironic, and I think there are several ironies in this, is that I think this will not hurt President Biden. In fact, there are some areas where it might actually help him. The reason I say that is that there is an estimated tens of millions of people who use drugs, illegal drugs in the U.S. at various times. So there's got to be some sympathy to addiction. Addiction is a major problem in this country. Secondly, the president has said that he will not pardon. He will accept the rule of law, which I think is admirable. And he's handled all this with great dignity. Those who would vote against him are going to vote against him in any case, no matter what the verdict. So I think this actually puts the president in a slightly more sympathetic position, and also one who is seen as respecting the law. I think ultimately, I think it will help him a bit. And I know that sounds ironic, but I think it helps him a bit, especially when compared to President Trump's reaction to his own conviction.
Like you said, President Biden earlier ruled out pardoning his son, whose trial had some really embarrassing details as prosecutors sought to show he was using crack cocaine at the time he bought the gun. But it must be a difficult time being president and dad in this case, irrespective of how much sympathy you think he's getting from Americans, right?
Right. I think, of course, I think that the biggest toll is, in fact, the personal toll on the president, and how much that wears on him. Is, remains to be seen, and it's only he knows. But I suspect it wears quite a bit on him. It's tough to see your son convicted, I think, and also he's seen the whole struggle of drugs for years and years. So he knows what has gone into this. So he's got to be hurting quite a bit as a person and as a father.
Absolutely. Last month, it was Donald Trump who became the first former American president to be convicted of felony crimes. Both candidates in this election are now, approaching D-Day with some form of baggages. Do you think it will be a major deciding factor on how voters decide?
I don't think this trial will be a major, this result, I should say, it will be a major factor. I think the major factor is the economy. For one, I think how President Biden does or does not handle the Israeli-Hamas war is a second factor. And I think the personal matters are going to be aside. I think also the conduct of former President Trump will also be a factor in this as well. The comparison of how each handled the trial and how each wants to respect the rule of law is going to be, I think, a factor to some. But there is a very hardcore group that will support President Trump no matter what he does. And I suspect there's perhaps an equal-sized group of Democrats who will support President Biden. I think what's going to come down to is the independents and the middle class of how they feel about both candidates. As I think you know very well, most of us would feel better if we had younger candidates, and that age, I should say, is going to be a third or fourth factor in this, even though both are quite old as candidates. Age is going to play a role in how they perceive President Biden, especially.
So I don't know what the current poll is, but it sounds like it's going to be a keenly contested election. And the verdict, as we speak, has prompted some political reactions, including from Republicans in Congress who have spent years investigating Hunter Biden's behavior and business ties. Are you saying there is no political element here for opposition to latch on?
Well, they'll latch on to anything, either side, that they said they will go to an advantage. The Republicans, particularly President Trump, argued that the system was fixed and that Hunter Biden was free, would be found innocent, or not guilty, I should say. And the fact is he was found guilty, so now they're saying, well, the system's fixed anyway. You can't have it both ways, and I think people are going to see the hypocrisy of that. But you're right. Surely this will have a role. It will be, I think, almost a non-factor ultimately. Those who want to use Hunter Biden as a reason not to vote for Biden are already in that camp anyway. I don't think it's going to change anything. If it changes anything, I think right as of today, it certainly makes those who look at following how you honor court decisions, and this was a jury of 12, of which half were African American. Then it's going to be more positive, I think, ultimately for President Biden.
We have to go now, but they say the U.S. legal system is the biggest winner here, having been able to prosecute a president's son. But do you think the Hunter Biden case would have gotten so much spotlight as it did if not for his father's political career?
No, of course not. It's an easy answer. No, we wouldn't be paying attention to this. And I think we're still going to hear about it because I think he'll probably Hunter Biden will probably take the case to the Supreme Court, and there's all types of ironies in that as well.
Absolutely. Interesting development. We'll see how it all plays out in November. Stephen Hayes is President Emeritus, Corporate Council on Africa. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you. My honor.
We're back with more stories from around the world after this break. Stay with us, everyone.
Every major news story is with Benin perspective. And layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.